Welcome to AWG After Hours Family Business, brought to you by the fine people at Atlantis Water Gardens out of Denville, New Jersey. I'm Jack Haryu, and these are my co-hosts / sons, Anthony and Colby Haryu.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, everyone.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, and follow us on all social media. This is a show where we discuss the challenges and successes of running our family business over the last 25 years. Colby, why don't you tell the people what we've got coming up on this episode?
So we've got a great episode for you boys and girls and all you AWG rock stars out there. We've got a water feature related subject, because that's what we do. How to keep your pond fish alive during the winter.
On each of these episodes, we'll be sharing with you what it's like to be a part of our family business and how we manage to not tear each other apart. To help you better understand how we keep it all together, we'll be bringing our very first guest onto the show, none other than JoAnn Haryu, otherwise known as Mom, Dad's wife, the big boss, amongst a few others. She's going to tell you what it takes to work with the three of us and how she keeps all of us in check.
I'm also super excited to get into one I think is going to be my favorite segment of the show. You'll have to stick around to see what that is. And we're going to dive into something that we hear a lot of. We're going to go through one of our water feature projects and talk about how much it costs. Because that's probably the number one question we get on any of our comments on social media is, this looks great, but how much is it, right?
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people ask.
Yeah, so I get that. I mean, if I'm looking at something and I like it, I would want to know how much it costs. So we're going to get into that today for sure. But first, let's start off with some fan recognition, highlighting one of our awesome followers that always brings so much love and positivity over at Atlantis Water Gardens on our YouTube channel. We're talking about Crystal Herb. I'm pretty sure Crystal's been around for at least 3 or 4 years, as far as I can remember. I know she leaves like really nice, long, super positive responses on every single video. Like, listen to what she says here. She says, "Good afternoon, Jack. Hope you're having an amazing day." First of all, who takes the time to respond like that, right, to a video? But how freaking great. Wow, I absolutely love how the expansion turned out on this feature and how amazing the landscaping is with only 4 months. The water quality is absolutely amazing. Fantastic job, like always. What an amazing project. And she goes on, but she obviously watched the whole video, right? To have that much detail in her response.
She definitely took her notes.
So,
Crystal, thank you so much for all the support, and we always look forward to your comments in all of our upcoming videos.
one of the things she always says at the end of the comment is, as always, I'll see you on the next video. How cool is that? We're going to start things off with an AWG pro tip. Winter can be tough here in the Northeast, and I can't think of anyone that has it tougher than our aquatic pets that live under the ice, our pond fish. Most of our ponds are anywhere from 2 to 4 feet deep, and they can get from 2 to 7 inches of ice across the entire surface. Let's talk about how we make sure our fish are going to survive the harsh conditions and some of the most important steps we need to take to make sure we get to see them again in the spring.
So there's a few tools every pond owner should have in their toolbox, and the first one I want to talk about is a pond thermometer.
I think everybody who has a pond with fish needs to have a thermometer because it's going to tell you so many things. You're going to know when to stop feeding the fish in the fall. So when the water temperature drops below what, like 50?
Yeah.
50 is what we say. So once you're down below 50 degrees, you just stop feeding altogether. The fish are going to go into their like little semi-hibernation down the bottom, kind of stacking up next to each other like a bunch of buddies. I don't think they're really getting warm. They're just kind of like...
They're just hanging out.
Getting close, trying to get through the tough winter. And then again, you're going to want to know what your temperature is coming out of the winter. So once you hit 50 consistently in the springtime, then you can start that feeding again. Their digestive system's going, their immune system's going, and they're going to start to get healthy. We usually kick it off with a probiotic food or like a cold water food. And then we make sure the fish are okay, and then we switch to a regular food after that. And then it's also good to have for the summertime because when we get some hot temperatures here, we get over 100 in New Jersey, believe it or not. And that means our water temps can get up into the 80s. And if they're starting to get that high, we want to know so we can do some water changes and kind of cool things down because the fish are getting unhappy when things are that warm, right?
Yeah, they definitely do not like that hot water.
Yeah. So now that you got your pond thermometer, let's talk about how we're going to get these guys through the winter. And the number one thing you have to realize is when the ponds freeze over, if you let them freeze solid across the top, it's basically trapping everything inside. So the pond is off-gassing. There's fish waste in there. There's organics breaking down. Imagine being trapped in a room with poisonous gas and there's no windows or doors open, eventually it's not going to be a good solution, right?
No.
Yeah, things are not going to go well for you. So it's the same thing for the fish. If you don't give them a way to get those gases out, it'll be a huge problem. And the first way we're going to talk about doing that is the pond de-icer. Now, when people ask me about a pond de-icer or they talk to me about one, they're usually like, oh yeah, I have a pond heater. Well, number one, it does not heat your pond, right?
No.
It doesn't get very hot.
No. So what does it do?
It's going to keep a hole open in the ice for sure, but it's only going to keep it open around the actual unit itself. It's just got a small heating element inside of it. It's a floating canister with a light on top typically, or it could be metal or plastic, whatever it might be. It's mainly just there to keep a hole open in your ice so you get that proper gas exchange.
Yeah, and it's really just a simple heating element inside that canister. And the problem that I have with the icers is they fail. They'll usually go 2 or 3 years and then they'll just cut out. The problem with that is it's not going to do damage to your pond, the de-icer failing. It's going to be when you're not paying attention and the pond completely freezes over because your de-icer is not working. And people usually just tend to look out the kitchen window to see if like they see a hole open in the ice. But when you've got a couple inches of snow down and it covers up that de-icer, now you have no idea unless you're going out there to clean off the snow so you can see it. And which, if you're a good pond owner, you should be doing that, right?
Should.
But it happens where people just kind of forget about it and they don't realize that it stopped working. And now your pond's frozen over and the fish are probably not going to fare too well in that situation. There's a couple other options that I think are better. And the one I'm going to talk about that I think is probably the best is aeration. Aeration is basically just a compressor on the shoreline with an air line going into the water, feeding to a diffuser plate. So you get these, when it pushes that air in, it gets these tiny air bubbles, gets a lot of agitation, and it acts like a pump because when that turns on, it actually pulls water from around it and pushes it up to the surface. And when you push that water up, you're getting a lot of agitation at the surface. And when you're doing that, disturbing the water surface, the ice doesn't get a chance to form. And that's essentially that's acting as your de-icer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You could do it. You can also do it with a bubbler pump. So if you had a pump, then usually they have like a cage around them or something. It'll do the same exact thing. It'll bubble up and it'll keep a hole open in the ice. But the problem that we see with the pumps is what?
Well, the pumps can get clogged sometimes.
Yeah, and what happens when it clogs when it's 20 degrees out?
Well, you're not going to have a hole in your ice anymore.
Oh, you are, because you're sticking your hands in there to pull it out and unclog it. So you need to keep an eye on it. So I like the aerators not only for that, for the simplicity of them, the way they actually always work, but also they're great for the rest of the year. Anytime you have aeration in the pond, it's always a plus. The pond is healthier, the bacteria works better, the fish are happier. So not only are you using it for de-icer, you can use it for the entire season. So I think that's the win-win is the aeration system. All right, we're at the part of the show where we get to bring on our very first guest. How exciting is this?
Super excited.
First, our inaugural AWG After Hours show. Is that what we're calling this?
I think so.
Podcast. None other than the 4'11", 100-pound absolute nightmare, my wife, JoAnn. Get in here. Welcome, Joe.
Hello. Oh, I can hear you.
There you go.
That works. Works. It works. Hi, guys.
Hi.
What's up?
Welcome to the show.
Hey,
How
Tom.
excited are you?
So excited.
All right. What did you think when I first told you I was going to do a podcast?
I knew that it was going to be a little painful for us because you were going to be spending a lot of hours perfecting, learning, designing, your normal MO. You don't do anything half. You have to do it to the extreme.
What did you think when I started tearing the basement apart and building the studio down here?
I wasn't too happy. I was ready to redecorate this side and get a pool table, another TV.
Well, too bad. Not happening. We're doing this thing.
Apparently.
So we wanted to bring you on, number one, to be our first guest, of course, but also to get your perspective on working in a family business over the last 25 years and give people kind of an inside look onto how we keep things together. And in case they're in their own business, maybe some tips on how to be successful with it.
All right, let's go.
So let's start off with a little bit of history and how we got started. This is our 25th year in business. And I started Atlantis Water Gardens while I had a full-time job. I was a union heavy equipment operator, and you were also working as well. You know, we were married just a couple of years, and I really loved doing ponds because I had done a few ponds back in the 90s when I was doing landscaping, but I was always interested in how to like do it all the time. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure it out back then because I didn't have any business acumen whatsoever, right? But I figured like if I could just sell a few and work my job, I can kind of get my fix on building water features and hopefully make some money. And then I didn't realize it would turn into what it is today, of course. But I remember us starting out, and you weren't really all that involved in the beginning.
No, I wasn't involved at all. It was like kind of like your little side, I'll say hustle, hobby, whatever.
Right.
Never, ever did I think, you know, this would be what we do for a living ever. I probably, if you would have said that then, I would have thought you were like freaking nuts.
Well, it's funny because when I would tell people that I was building ponds on the side, they did think I was nuts. They're like, what do you mean? Like who's paying to have a pond put in, right? And they didn't really understand what a pond was either. They always thought of it as like a Home Depot plastic tub, which is how I started.
Well, and that's kind of what they were.
Yeah, I started putting the tubs in back in the 90s because I didn't even know where to buy rocks. And then I found Aquascape through magazines I was getting about pond supplies. I'm saving up so I can buy a pond kit, which at the time I'm gonna say it was like $1,000 or $1,200. To us, that was a big deal back then.
It was a huge amount of money.
We didn't have two nickels to rub together. But bought it, and then it went from there. It started snowballing, and it got busier faster than I thought it would, to the point where now I'm working basically 2 full-time jobs, right?
Right.
And so what were you doing during that time?
Well, I think in the early part of that, I was working at the bank, and then we had the boys, and then I stayed home with them until they went to school. When they went to school, I ended up taking a part-time job at school so that I could be with them and, you know, kind of be on the same schedule, making some money. I was a personal aide in the special ed class.
That's why she does so well with us.
Anyway, I actually loved that job, and I was considering going to school for my teaching degree, but then Jack's like, I need you to start returning these calls. And I was like, oh, man, all right, let me return some of these messages.
Well, it's because it got so overwhelmingly busy. And I was working my full-time job. Like I'd go from, I'd leave the house at 5 a.m. to go to work running a machine. And then I'd get out at 3:30. And immediately after that, I'm going to build a pond. And this was every day and then every weekend. So there was no time for me to do phone calls or any of that kind of stuff. And eventually I said to you, like, you have to come help me with this thing because it's getting too much for me to handle.
Right. So then on my lunch, I would start returning those calls, and then the calls would encompass more of my lunch and more of my time. And then, it came to the point where I didn't actually know anything. I didn't know any questions anybody would ask me. So then
which is amazing because we had a pond the whole time we were married.
Right. But I loved having a pond, but I didn't want to know the inner workings of it. Like I just liked looking at it and feeding the fish. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if you drive a car, you don't necessarily know how to change the brakes.
Yeah,
oil,
right? I had no interest in it other than the aesthetics of it.
Right.
So, then I'd spend my time calling you, Mrs. So-and-so wants to know this, and back and forth. And it went on like that for like that whole year.
Yeah.
And then I remember I signed my contract for school for like September. And you're like, in July, you can't go back. I'm like, yes, I can. And we just argued all summer long about go back, not go back, go back. And I remember our one customer, we were talking about it at his house. Remember Dan? And he's like, so did you go back? And I'm like, I didn't go back. So, and then that kind of just, I don't even know. I guess we had a home office and I was running the home office for a while.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even know how we ended up with a design center from a home office.
Well, that was the next milestone, was the design. So
there's like gaps in my memory of like how it went from home office to we're opening a design center.
Well, it got to the point where we were so busy, and now we're trying to build the business. We have employees and stuff, and I was still working. So at that point, I was still working basically 2 very full-time jobs. Like
Right.
there was not an extra second for me to do anything. And we had these two, and I'm like, we have to make a decision. Like I have to either stop doing the ponds or I have to stop being an operator. And for me, I love doing the ponds. I didn't hate operating, but it wasn't my passion.
Right.
Like for me going to work every day, I was actually watching my clock all day long. Like, oh geez, it's only 9 o'clock. Or if I can make it to lunch, then I only got 3 hours and I can get out of here and I can go to work. Right. So I'm like, we have to make a leap here. So we both decided that I'm not going to operate anymore. I'm giving up my good pay, my pension, my annuity, all that stuff, my health benefits to like make a go at this pond business. So it was super scary. And then you're like, well, at that point I was like, okay, now we need to really crank this thing up. And at the time we were doing pond tours where people were opening up their backyards for a weekend, letting us invite people to come see their water features. We were doing the newspaper, which, I mean, does anybody know what a newspaper is anymore?
Here we go with the newspaper. I like the newspaper, so whatever.
I like it too for starting fires.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then we also did display ponds.
Yes.
So I would go to garden centers or anywhere that somebody would let me, and I would build a pond and put signage there. We would take on the cost of it. Like it would cost us to build this thing just so that they would give us the space to use. And then I'm there every weekend trying to do like talks and seminars and that kind of stuff to drum up more business. We're putting signage there and all kinds of takeaway pamphlets and everything. And all that stuff worked. But we figured, okay, well, we have to get a location. Like we need people to be able to come see our stuff on our own turf.
Well, and I think too, we realized we needed a location because people would just Google us and show up at our house and want to buy products because they didn't realize we weren't a retail store.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So we jumped into doing well, you don't really call it a store. You call it a design center.
I call it your design center.
Yeah, and it was a bad idea from the start.
Well, so you never wanted a retail store, but I wanted something that was mine. And so like you sugar coated it and presented it as a design center and we sprinkled in a few products.
Yeah, and from the get-go, it was doomed because it was
100%.
a bad landlord situation and stuff. And it was so much like grinding against the gears that we knew it wasn't going to work there. And we had spent a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time to develop this whole thing. And then I don't think we were open but a couple months and we're like, okay, we're getting out of this.
Yeah. So I think it was like 3 months and we knew like we needed out, but it did test the water where we knew it could be successful just under our own control.
Yeah. But you remember we did we bought like $60,000+ of inventory, I think.
Which might as well have been like $500,000 at that time.
we have all this inventory. We spent all this money on displays and everything. And they're like, yeah, we're getting out of here. And then,
but we weren't upset about it because like we learned from it and we knew like it had to happen that way to like get to the next point in what we did.
Yeah. So your next great idea was let's go buy a building and start another store.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump out the window.
But was it not the best decision we made?
Well, looking back, yeah.
Yeah.
All those hard times ended up where we've had the #1 aquascape pond supply store in the world, right?
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing to go from all that struggle to being #1 in the world for selling aquascape supplies in a retail store. Are you good?
You okay, Aunt? Don't give my boy stink eye.
But once we did that, things really exploded.
Yeah, but even like think about it. When we bought that building, we were considering buying it with somebody else because we were like still afraid of making that leap. And it was like all this retail space. And like, I don't know, after like 2 months, I'm like, I need more room.
It seemed like too big for us when we were getting it. Now we bought another building because we ran out of like busting at the seams. Like it's crazy how things have turned. But yeah, always. And this is a great analogy too for people when they buy ponds because they're always like, oh, I don't want to put too big of a pond in. Like, let's just do something small here. Within 3 years, they're like, hey, can you come tear this thing out and like triple it in size because they fall in love with it and they realize like they love buying fish, they love buying plants, and now they've stuffed all this stuff into the little pond, and that's how like the evolution of like the bigger pond happens too. So I think that was us. We were like, oh, we don't want it too big. We just want enough to get our stuff in here, and then we'll be okay. And thank God we didn't do that.
Oh my God, no. I want to say within like 2 years, we took over every single spot in that building.
Yeah, and the whole yard and everything. So that was a good move.
You're welcome.
You have some good ideas.
Yep.
But even through all that, we weren't particularly good at running a business at that point.
Oh my God, no.
We were kind of dumb.
Oh, so dumb. So bad. Really just so bad.
Yeah, we were just fortunate that we made good decisions, especially money-wise, where I was selling the jobs for enough to cover. Like I knew like simple like math when it came to figuring out jobs, but it wasn't like I knew like how the whole business functioned or overhead or anything like that. And neither did you, right?
No, and I even think, fast forward that, we were the worst at managing people.
We weren't managing any. We were just bosses, right?
Yeah, it was just so bad. I mean, I can look, like, I actually sometimes will like reflect back on like the person I was with like my first like couple retail people, and I'm just like embarrassed at myself. I'm like, I was so bad at that, and they could have been so great had I,
Yeah. Well, that's part of the growing pains. I mean, we kind of just threw caution to the wind, and we're like, we're going to do this business, and we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Some really hard lessons.
Yeah.
They say no matter what, you're going to pay for an education, whether it's you're paying for a college or you're paying through experience. You're going to pay.
Oh, and we've paid.
We've paid more than it would cost for college, I think.
Oh, I'd be like a master like 18 times over.
Could have went to Harvard. Easy.
Yeah.
But it was all worth it because now look where we are now. I want to talk about when these two decided to be part of the. Well, I want to talk about when these two started to become part of our business.
Well, wait, let me back up for a second too. And I have to say the other thing, regardless of the finances, we're always really good at like taking a chance on something, and you have to take chances. Like you can't just constantly, be guarded and, then sit there and worry about the what ifs. Like you just have to do them. And sometimes you win and sometimes you're going to lose. But even on the what times you lose, you're going to learn something.
Oh, no. We pushed in all the chips when we bought the store. We're like, yep, this seems like a good idea. Let's just do this thing. And it did work out. I'm not saying to go bet your house on something.
No.
You have to take chances sometimes. But you have to have like a lot of conviction and passion behind it.
Right.
And we had plenty of work ethic and conviction and passion. We just had to make it all happen.
Correct.
So let's talk about when these two fellas here got going with being in the business. Well, it was really from day one, but they've always been around us and like running the equipment and
I would say I don't
doing
ever
jobs and stuff. But
I like literally don't ever remember them not being in a piece of equipment operating something.
Yeah,
I swear, since they could walk.
Yeah, they were sitting in my lap running the excavator or, whatever. But they really started being more involved and kind of counted on probably from like 10 years old or so.
I'd tell you that's a fair assessment.
Well, they were probably 10 when we bought that building, when we bought the store. And I can remember Colby on the staircase, like chiseling stone when we were building the turtle pond.
With your little hammer rock.
Aunt was out front helping me plant trees and rebuild walls and stuff in the front of the store. So it was definitely a family venture. I mean, we had
no more money to pay
we
anybody.
Spent all our money, so we're like, we need some free labor. All right, you two, let's go.
Take the children.
Which I think you'll find in most family businesses, like they really lean on the whole family to pitch in because that's how a lot of family businesses really make it. Is they all gather together like, okay, guys, this is what we need. Even if you don't want to, this is what you're doing. Like we need you to help us out because this is for the good of the whole.
Right.
So they were really working for us at that point, like full time between school when they were like 15 or 16, right?
Full time, but not like great employees at that point.
No, they were not great.
No,
employees.
they were actually like
they were better when they were 10 years old.
Yeah, they were awful. Like, you'd ask them to like take out the recycling and they'd have like a bobsled and they're sliding down the hill on all the recycling instead of taking it to the trash. They'd be taking naps, like 2-hour lunches. Like you were constantly corralling.
I can remember clearly Colby sitting up in the office with like a whole sub sandwich and like putting chips in it and just sitting there crunching. And I would walk in and I'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd come back an hour later and he's still in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, time to get to work. And this was an everyday thing where we're chasing them out of the office.
Every day.
Or this one's hiding someplace, disappearing and, not wanting to be found. So it was getting to a point where they were becoming problematic, right?
Right, because they were never doing what they were supposed to do, and you just spent your entire time corralling them.
Right. So what happened?
And we're all business when we're at work. Like when we have stuff to do, it just has to be done.
Right. So when they were 17, what happened?
So when they were 17, they were that first high school group of COVID kids, and they were home. They were not in school. So we actually were able to be open during that time because we were deemed essential because we cared for fish and stuff like that. And we didn't have anyone on our team back at that point because we just didn't know what was going on. So I ended up having to bring them into the store because we actually were so busy and I couldn't manage it myself. So they kind of got both thrown into retail at that point just to help because we had nobody else that could help at that point.
Right. But what I was getting at was when they got fired.
Oh, before they came back? Well, of course they ended up getting fired because they just stunk.
No, they literally got fired.
Yeah, I know.
They both got fired. Like we fired both of them and said, listen, this is not for you. Like go figure out what you want to do. You're going to get jobs somewhere. We tried to push them to go to school, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Colby ended up getting some sort of job at a beauty store, right? Stocking shelves.
I will walk upstairs right now.
He was stocking shelves at the beauty store, and Anthony, I think, had a job for maybe a day or so over at Stewart's, right?
Even if that.
Yeah, you took a long time to find a job.
Was he really?
Well,
looking?
no, because he was
He
begging.
wasn't looking.
He was begging to come back quite often, and we kept telling him no.
Yeah, so they were asking to come back, and we said no, we would not hire them back. And eventually got to the point where you and I had a discussion. We're like, listen, if they want to come back, they can ask the guys if they want to. They can come back. So
We did not want to manage them again.
No, they went to the construction crew and they asked for their jobs back. And those guys came to us and said, the boys want to work. And I said, well, that's up to you. They're going to be your problem, not my problem. And I'm like, you better hold their feet to the fire because this is not a game. We're not playing favorites here. This is our living.
Right.
Like we can't have people here that are not, pulling the rope the same way. If they're the anchor, we can't have that. So the guys understood that, and these guys did a complete 180 because they realized what their opportunity was in front of them, and also that we weren't messing around.
Right. How did you feel knowing that Dad and I weren't going to hire you back, and we left that decision on the team to make?
Well, it was a little disheartening, I guess, and definitely hurt. But at the other end of it, we kind of put ourselves in that position by underperforming and under-delivering, right? But I mean, the guys, obviously they took us back. We're here doing this podcast now.
Yeah, he really moved up in the world. Hey, Colb, so what are some of the things the guys made you do to kind of prove your worth on the team?
Well, one of the most used things on a job site is gravel. So, of course, we got shirts made.
What'd your shirt say?
It said, what did it say? It was either gravel team or gravel brigade.
Gravel Boys?
It was the Gravel Boys.
I don't remember.
You're trying to forget it. How many truckloads of gravel do you think you carried that season?
At least a few.
Well, you deserved it, and it did wonders for you as far as like developing your work ethic and also understanding what it means to be part of a team and how much it hurts a team when you're not pulling the weight, right?
Right, yeah.
I think that's something you definitely see now being in construction all the time, how important it is. Like we run a small crew and everybody has to be doing their job. And your job might change all day long, right? You might be going from running a machine to shoveling to pushing a wheelbarrow to driving the truck. Everybody has to be able to do everything here, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't have a job title.
Well, and I also think that's why that gravel boy is so important. Because if you don't have a gravel boy, the job's at a standstill, right?
He's the most important.
Well, now, you're kind of back to being a gravel boy now because we have you helping.
It feels that way.
We have you helping Boley. We're like, all right, we don't want Boley working too hard, so make sure you're getting the gravel.
Does everybody know who Boley is?
Well, if you've watched any of our videos on YouTube, you know who Boley is. He's the one that usually doesn't talk at all. but he is probably the hardest worker we have.
The hardest.
He's been here for, I don't know, 11 or 12 years. And he never has a complaint about anything.
Never. Not a single complaint. Never takes a day off. Like, you have to beg him to take a day
He's
off.
uber talented. Like,
Yes.
we do everything we can to take care of Boley. And I tell the boys all the time, like, listen, when you're out there, make sure he's not going to get his own gravel. He's not going to get up to go get the tools. Like, make sure he has what he needs, and then you can do your job.
Yeah, he's just got to show up with his Terminator glasses, and he's good. We'll get him everything he wants.
Yeah, we love Boley. So I think, well, we'll go back to when we were talking about we were pretty dumb in business, right? I feel like the only thing that got us better was, number one, having mentors. I mean, that's been huge for me, especially having mentors and friends that are in business, like gleaning as much information as we could from them. And of course, we're doing education stuff where we're trying to learn as much as humanly possible. You and I have done two different paths on our education. You're more on the financial back end stuff like HR and everything, and I'm more on the understanding the overhead and doing the job costing and how to, run an efficient team where we are staying on track and being profitable and running the business so that everybody can do well, right?
Right. So, a couple things for us is that we definitely surround ourselves with like-minded people. So work ethic is never an issue. And then I think too, we're also very humble that we know we make mistakes and we're willing to learn from those mistakes. And if something comes up that we don't know, we will ask and probe and find somebody who can help us figure something out. So there's that. And I think that's what's helped us, because like our jobs are completely different. Like mine is definitely more centered towards the team in HR and being in sync with them, because if they're in a positive mindset, then they can be successful in their day. If their day's not, and there's all kinds of problems and things going on at work and you don't recognize, what's happening with your team, it's like a cancer.
Right. And that shows the difference between being a boss and a leader. A boss will just bark orders and tell you what to do. A leader will recognize those things and help make adjustments to keep the entire team on track, right?
Right.
And that's, I think, a lot of the learning that we did was we turned from being those bosses, when
micromanagers.
We were probably 10 years in and we were trying to micromanage everything and just barking orders and stuff. And now we've become leaders where we empower everybody. We run an open book in this company. So everybody here that works here understands how much this company makes, what our revenue goals are, what it costs to do business. And they get a nice big picture on what goes into keeping this thing going every single day. And they feel the weight of that with us. So we do have some great families here that we're helping to support. But what makes this all work is the fact that they know what goes into making it possible for them to have the life that they're living and being able to raise a family off of what they're making here, as opposed to struggling and having a thankless job.
Right. Yeah. So our team is really just an extension of our family at this point. And, everybody, we need every single one of them. Everybody here needs each other to be successful.
Most companies say customers are number one. And that's not true for us. And it's going to sound funny, but our employees are number one, because if we're treating our employees like they're number one, they are going to treat our customers like they're number one, because they understand how important they are. So it's kind of that trickle down thing where, hey, we'll take care of you, then you take care of everybody else, to make sure that you carry like what our non-negotiables are out into the world with you. So
right.
We have certain things like we empower them. Like you and I obviously have full purchasing decisions on what happens with the company, but everybody here has the purchasing power to make a decision. So if there's a tool that's needed, as long as it's not going to hurt the company, it's not going to hurt someone else, and it's going to be ethical, make the decision, right?
Absolutely. Like, we don't want to make every single decision. They all have the power to make decisions as long as they fall within our guidelines.
Correct. What I want to touch a little bit on what really got things cranking for us, and that was YouTube.
Yeah.
It's kind of a love-hate thing with YouTube, right? For you? I love it. I know, like, I feel like people just don't believe it when I say I'm just not a YouTuber. I don't YouTube. There's nothing I watch. I'll go on and watch our things, and I'll make sure I like and comment and do that stuff. But I just don't watch anything on YouTube. So for me, I don't
I don't fall in line, but I also like newspapers. So aside from that, I'm like that demographic that you have to mail something to. But like, I just think of the pain of YouTube. How many hours, weeks, months were lost where you're just editing.
Well,
editing.
the beginning when I got started with it, I was doing all the editing and
all that stuff. And I mean, now it's great because now you don't do it. So, but now we have this. So
I was like, I have nothing to do. Let's start a podcast.
Yeah. So, and that's like your type. Like, you need something that's yours. You need to own it, create it, get it to where it's like on its own, and then like you're bored. You need something, the next thing, because you need the next fix of finding something, which is fine.
I'm definitely not bored with YouTube at all.
No, but like, you're bored because now somebody else is handling it for us. It's not your baby anymore. Somebody else is doing it, and it's in great hands, and we're happy with it. And so that's kind of like the natural progression for things. Just like with building, like, you no longer really have to be on site for projects sized from whatever bracket to whatever, because the team is fully capable to execute it. So it's kind of like the same thing.
Right. But I wanted to talk more about like the opportunity that it gave us and the exposure that it gave us. And my vision for when we get started, like, we've had a YouTube channel for, I don't know, probably since the beginning of YouTube, but it was always stagnant, did nothing with it.
Well, they were so bad too.
Yeah, I did a couple in the beginning and they were terrible. But I knew the value of video, like how important that was to be able to tell a story and and give value, right? So if somebody's going to watch a video, I was like, okay, what's going to be interesting? What are they going to take away from this? And what's going to make them come back? It's those two things. It's got to be interesting and they got to take something away from it. So when we started creating the videos, I really, and I was editing, I didn't know anything about editing videos. So I watched YouTube videos on how to edit videos. I learned how to be on YouTube from YouTube. So then and when it started to work, it just validated it more. So then we started to pour more energy into it, and it started to really bear fruit, right? And have huge returns for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great tool in like our arsenal for our business.
It's our biggest tool.
Yeah. It definitely has come full circle, and the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, but in the beginning, you really didn't like it because I was spending a lot of time editing.
So much time.
So now that we have a full-time editor, he's fantastic. We have a social media guy. We still create. We still do all the shooting. So we do all the storyboarding and stuff as far as like how we're going to tell a story about the project. And everybody that works here knows that they have to be able to be on camera, right?
Right.
That's a non-negotiable. Like when you sign employment paperwork, you have to sign a video release and understand that you will be on camera, right? I mean, when you guys started really getting into the construction and the things, and we had to shoot, how did I break you into it?
It was like being pushed in the deep end of the pool.
How's that?
There was
you
no
come up with the
break-in
camera in our face and just say, your turn.
Go, right?
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of break the fear of people is you don't give them a second to think about it.
Poor Drew.
Yeah.
I don't know that it
Poor
really broke
Drew.
the fear so much as it's now your responsibility.
Well, it's a different fear. It's like you have to fear me.
Yeah. No, but our team is very good at like getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think Drew had a huge learning curve with that one too.
But that's where growth happens, is when you're uncomfortable. But now look at them, like they all take the cameras. They all know what to do. They can all tell their own stories. And it's so important for perpetuating the business forward is telling those stories and then getting people engaged enough to want to do business with us, where they're getting to see like what it's like for us on the job site, what actually we talk about all the behind the scenes stuff and what to watch out for. So even if somebody is building their own water feature, I'm hoping there's enough information in that video that they can use to be successful with it, right?
Right.
Never afraid to give away information.
No, and I think we do a really good job with that. I think though, the audience would love to see more of father-son bloopers on those videos. So Colby, what is your biggest challenge working in this family business?
Probably working my way around those two.
In what way? They're so easy to work with.
I do love doing this, but we have our occasional fights or arguments, and that's normal for us.
Well, I mean, we're at a table of alphas, right? So everybody has an opinion and everybody wants to be right. So, but I think of you three, Colby, you're probably the easiest one to get along with.
It's not me.
No, it's definitely Colby, because Colby's more task oriented and he can like drown out all the noise around him and just get things done. Mm-hmm. Where Ant has to be heard and has to be right.
Yeah.
And then there's you, Jack, which it's your way or the highway.
That's not true.
It's so, Anthony, you want to elaborate?
Not really, no.
Yeah, right.
It's not true, because I love empowering people.
No, I would agree. You like empowering people, but with your sons, it's a little different.
No, I expect a lot from them because they know what to do. It's when Anthony will start asking me inane questions when I'm trying to accomplish something, and I'm like, and I don't want to get into it. I just want to accomplish the task at hand, because especially when I'm on a job site, if I'm running a project, I've got 1,000 things happening in my head, and I'm always concerned with where are we at with this part of the day? How's our man hours looking? Because you live and die by man hours in construction contracting business, right? Anybody who does contracting knows that the biggest variable is man hours, and that's the one that's the hardest to control. Materials you should be pretty on if you didn't like really screw up on the bid. But the man hours, they can get out of hand in a hurry if things aren't going exactly how they should be. If people are making inefficient moves, or if somebody's not pulling their weight that day, or somebody's asking 400 questions a day to slow you down. And these are the things that get me fired up, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Questions are great.
They are great, but they are to be asked at the end of the day. Or I tell you what, write them down. How's that sound?
It's not going to happen.
Well, and then I think for Anthony, it's a tone thing, right, Ant? It's the tone in which the response goes in his direction that he doesn't like.
Well, I'm quite patient when it comes to running a project, unless you're not doing what needs to be done.
I don't know about patient. I've never seen it.
So that makes my job like fun, I actually find it super easy to manage our team. You three are like, it can be testing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I immediately know when I'm driving home, and it's like literally one at a time, you start calling me. Dad did blah, blah, blah. Aunt did blah, blah. Your son, you know what he did today? And so, it's a matter of managing you three and, hearing you out and still coming home and sitting down and having a dinner and just living our life.
Another day.
So if somebody's watching that's running their own business, family business or not, what's probably one or two things we could talk about that would help them with some of the challenges that we've faced that might be worthwhile for them?
So we hold family meetings.
Yeah.
Especially when there's like, I actually call the family meetings to order like quite often, because I know everything that's happening with all of them, and I can feel like tension, and I'm like, all right, time for a family meeting. And then we have to sit there until it's all aired out, and then you have to hug it out before you can walk away.
We do the same exact thing with the business.
Yeah, well, we don't necessarily have to hug it out, because it's not like that. But no, it's an open table. Like it's an open book at work.
But you can feel like when, and that's the biggest killer, I think, with business in general is communication. If people aren't communicating, then resentment builds up because maybe somebody's not realizing there's a problem and they're not bothering to ask. And then once you get to a certain point, like the cracks are too great, you can't patch it back up, and it just kind of falls to pieces. Like there'll be cracks all the time, but you have to okay, let's get the patch kit out and we'll fix this thing. We have to recognize they're happening, and that's where the meetings come in.
Right. So yeah, we have family meetings often.
Yeah, so we have family meetings, we have company meetings.
Yeah, that goes without saying, company meetings.
Well, no, that's not true, because a lot of companies don't have meetings. A lot of companies will just give tasks and they'll just go to work, right? Especially when you're a small business that's like maybe 3 or 4 people, 5 people. To take time out from the day to do a meeting is a commitment. Like for us, when we run some of our meetings go an hour, 2 hours, depending on what's happening, right?
Well, yeah. And so for us too, like we have meetings, but then the team has meetings. Like they have their own huddles and their own meetings.
Well, that's what I'm talking about is the team meetings.
Yeah. And then sometimes our meetings is just to celebrate a birthday or something like that. It doesn't have to always be like these drawn out like numbers and, but also too, I think for us, our meetings, we're not like coming down. It's positives, negatives, things that are happening. Everybody's in the know. Like you have to have company meetings. If you're not, I honestly don't know what you're doing. And family meetings as well. They're super important.
Yeah. It's just that communication. And I think that's the biggest factor when it comes to keeping a business together is that communication. And luckily we learned that lesson before.
Yeah. I would say we didn't used to do this.
No.
But it's a definite game changer.
Yeah, otherwise things become a powder keg and then next thing you know, it blows up and then sometimes it's just not repairable anymore. I've seen it. I grew up with a family that had a business and it all just kind of disintegrated after my grandfather passed. And it was sad because there was no real structure built there that was in place to keep it together once he was gone. Once he was gone, it didn't take long. I think within 3 years, you're talking about this was a big business.
Right.
Just gone off the planet. It's sold off and they all fragmented. So I think it's important to establish that. And I think we're in a transition period now. Like we're not old, but we have to start getting them ready for what that next phase is going to be, which is them taking the reins, right? And them understanding how we keep it going and the importance of having two people that aren't doing the same exact thing. Like you and I literally don't have hardly intersecting jobs, right? We really don't. And people say that all the time, like, how do you work together? I'm like, we actually don't work together. Right. We overlap in areas, but it's not like we're directly working together all the time. Because I think that's important too. If you're in a situation where you're in each other's space all day long, it's going to do a lot of damage.
Absolutely. Plus too, like, I mean, I don't like you need to make your own decisions and do your own thing. And if you were like, actually, when you are in the office and you question like something, I just want to rip your face off because, it's like, this is my lane. Stay in your lane. This is my lane.
I used to have an office. I used to have a desk in the office. I no longer have a desk in the office. I don't ever work there. I come in for meetings or periodically just to kind of go over like what's going on, but I'm hardly ever in the office. I kind of work on my own with a home office.
Like, and it just works for us. Like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine doing it any other way.
I don't like all the noise in the office.
I know. He gets
ringing.
Yeah, phone's ringing. I'm like, oh, and that's a problem here because the phone's ringing?
I got to have quiet.
I think the boys possess a very good skill set when it comes to the field, and they'll do very well there, and they have good customer service skills. Their task in that, it takes, it's going to take years to teach them how to actually run the business and manage a team. I think that's harder than anything else.
The thing is, like in the way we started too, was most small businesses start because somebody's good at a trade. Like if you're an electrician, you start your own electrical business, or you're a carpenter, you want to start building houses. You don't really start like saying, I'm going to be a business person, right?
Right.
If you're smart, you do, but we weren't smart. So we didn't know any better either. So, and most people don't, but now them being so young and learning what it means to be a business person, and that's not a bad thing, because if you're a business person, you can have a business that actually supports families and builds an environment where people love coming to do their job, because we spend so much of our life at work. And if you're going to work every day and you really don't like your existence, it's going to be miserable, and you're wasting. And that window closes every day. Your window of your time here, and if you're wasting that time doing something that you aren't absolutely passionate about, then it's all on you. So when you wind up in a place where people they love being there and they're all going the same direction, it just emanates out into the world, and it reflects in our customer relationships, the way the jobs turn out, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, let's lighten things up and get down to what I think is going to be my favorite segment of the show. Any guesses what that might be?
Who's your favorite parent?
No, that's not what it is.
Mom.
I've shown you guys these videos before, and this is actually a good friend of ours. His name's Clay Graba from A Frog's Dream. We're going to talk about the weekly ribbit.
They're so bad.
He is also a fellow pond business owner right here in New Jersey, and he does these videos that are, I think, amazing. It's kind of campy, right? But Clay's super smart. So if you actually
So smart.
if you watched it, you would learn something from it. This is my kind of entertainment, because remember Mystery Science Theater 3000?
The little head things. Ugh.
It almost reminds me of that. You guys ready?
So ready.
The weekly.
I love it already.
I'm Clayton Grava.
Look at that graphic work he does.
Services in Long Valley, New Jersey, and I'm here to bring you this week's weekly ribbit.
I mean, the green screen, you can't beat it.
Fish and more fish. It's a fish buying frenzy out there. It's the time of year you get to go out, get to buy some new fish. It's exciting. But what kinds of fish can you actually put in your pond, and will they actually all get along?
Wait, first of all, watch how fast he can say all these names.
Koi and goldfish. They're the most popular. Everyone knows about them.
Not yet.
But when you think there's maybe some different kinds of fish you can put in there, different looking fish, and they'll all get along?
First of all, how in the hell does he get his hat that tight with that bend on the front?
Oh my God. Poor Clay.
He looks like a McDonald arch.
I love it.
Well, there are. There's koi, butterfly koi, comets, Sarasa comets, white comets, apricot blush, lemon metallic, goldfish, shabunkins, red fantails.
You think he's
cowbirds,
reading off of
fantails,
something?
Red caparanda, red lightning, Watkins, bubble-like goldfish, golden oars, channel cats, albino cats, black moors, blue arandas, which are really cool, ranchus, and last but not least, the high-fin banded shark. Well, that's a long list, isn't it? Did you get them all? Well, you can get them, put them in your pond, and they will create an awesome dynamic to your pond. All different kinds of fish swimming around everywhere.
I could watch him all day.
They'll all get along. However, there is one exception. The catfish. The albino catfish and the channel catfish. They're all cool and neat, and they look neat when they're this big. But in a couple years, those fish will get this big. And what happens when a fish gets this big, especially when it's a channel cat? They will eat everything in your pond. If it fits in your mouth, they will.
First of all, he edited this all himself. That's pretty impressive, having the Pac-Man in the background.
Yeah. He actually, considering he did a good job.
He did.
eat it. So when you're at the store, you see these catfish, they look really cool. Before you actually buy one, take a second, well, maybe take a minute, and think about if you're going to be okay when that catfish gets to be this big. If you're going to be okay with giving it to someone else who has a bigger pond, or
I feel like I can't wait till he gets in here, because I'm going to make him recreate the weekly ribbit in here. We're going to amp things up a little bit, AWG style. We're going to ramp things up a little bit, AWG style. Maybe add some of our high end editing to it. But I'm going to torture Clay when he comes in here. He's gonna.
Hey, by the way, that was true what he said about those catfish.
Well, he did this, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. And when I told him I was going to be talking about it on the podcast. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Those things suck."
I know you guys are like obsessed with them.
They're so funny.
They are hilarious.
The shark one is really good.
Again, I don't watch YouTube, so
It's the little things, right? That
it's the
entertain us.
little things and that you guys definitely have the same humor.
Yeah.
So Colby, since you're to my right, what's a positive about working with your parents and your brother?
I guess he's got enough.
It's just like,
You know, he's been writing this list for a long time.
I don't know. It's just the feel when you go to work and mom's there or dad's there or I guess aunt's there.
Yes.
In that order.
Yeah, in that order. It's great to be able to work with you guys.
I mean, I guess it's okay to work with you too.
I wasn't asking for your approval.
So Aunt, really? So what's a positive like for you or a negative, you know? Like, what makes you like being a part of the family business?
I really like coming into work and knowing that my family is there. Like anyone, they're all accountable. I don't have to wonder like, oh, are you gonna be here tomorrow? Like I know there's solidity, I guess, when we go into the office, and I know that.
Is it just that we show up for work? Is that what's
No,
good?
but it's like I know that you're always there no matter what.
We have fun and there's great times, but you know, we go through our ups and downs, but it's worth it.
We have a lot of fun. I really enjoy working with both of you. And of course, Joe, it's been 25 years been doing this. If I didn't like doing it, we would have been gone a long time ago, right?
Right.
But I think it's a different feel when you get a chance to work with your sons. I mean, if you have sons, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like to be able to hang out and be with them every day and see them on like a peer level. Like these guys are men now at this point. They're 21 years old and they make man decisions. They get respect from older men too that they work with, which is really amazing because you've understood and you've picked up like how much it's important to show respect. And we're talking about Boley before, or even with Drew. These guys are much older than you, and they respect your decision making. They're not second guessing you, and it's not because you are our sons. It's because you've proven yourself as men in their eyes, and I'm super proud about that. So that makes me happy to show up to work and see your growth every day, every year, and knowing like what, or having an idea what your future is going to look like. I think you're going to be uber successful because, if you keep on this path, it's inevitable.
It's exciting.
It's exciting, huh?
Thrilling even.
You're quite the wordsmith, Anthony.
What, Aunt?
Thrilling even.
Yeah. I was going to say too, I think for us, you and I, like, we always like think work. We eat, breathe, live it every minute of every day.
That's the curse / blessing, I think, of most small business owners that are working together and living together.
Right, but I don't think it's a negative for us.
No, but some people will look at it as a negative
Yeah.
where it's like, don't you ever stop talking about work? Well, we just talk about work because we love work. We love what we're doing. So it's just natural. And all of our friends are in the same business. So we talk about work.
Right. And like, I feel like for us, some of our best ideas come out of like the dumbest places or things. Or like, when we were away last week and we're flipping through a magazine and like, I was like, copy that. We're using that for something. Like, like we come up with these things like out of nowhere. So like, we're like never off. And I'm not complaining about it because that's just my life and we like it.
Yeah.
But I do think the boys, they like to be off when they're home.
Yeah, they like to punch the clock.
Yeah, they definitely, when they're home, they like to turn their brain off. And I think that's a generational difference. That's kind of what I'm getting
figured it
at.
out yet. Like when you run a business, I don't know how else to put it. You don't really turn off. And and I talked about like how much of your life you spend working. You better love what you're doing, especially if you run your own business, because it will consume a lot of your time. But if you make it a positive, then it's a good thing. But if you make it where it's like it's something that brings you down or depresses you, then you should be doing something else.
Right. And, people will be like, oh, work-life balance. Like we totally have work-life balance, So,
yeah, if there's a teeter-totter, we just run from one end to the other, and that's how we get to
right, but like listen, do you not think we have a good work-life balance? We do so many things.
I think we've learned how to do that better over the last 10 years. I mean, did we always have that?
No, I'm not saying that we did. That's what I'm saying. I think we're at a good place. And just because we might talk about work all the time, that doesn't mean we don't have a balance.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of work, let's get into one of our most asked questions on social media. Can you guess what that is?
Of course. What does it cost?
Yeah.
Do you travel?
I didn't even prep you for that one.
Those are two. What does it cost? And do you travel?
Yeah. Well, how much is definitely our biggest question. So people will watch a video and then in the comments, there'll be at least like 50% of the responses will be, this is great. How much does it cost? So what I want to do is break down a job today. We're going to show you the job. We're going to go into kind of some of the parts and pieces of what went into it, some of the challenges we might have had, and then how much we charged to actually install this for the customer. You guys recognize this job?
That's Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie. That's Debbie out of Morristown. So this is a job we did last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was, and people actually really like this job a lot. There's a lot of great comments on this project on Instagram, on YouTube. This is 16 by 20 pond, right?
I think so, yeah.
We started off with a blank backyard. There's a really nice waterfall that we built there. And Debbie is my favorite part of doing what we do, which is build water features, is the customer story, like why they even wanted to do this in the first place. And that's one of the questions I'll usually ask people. It's like, this is, they're telling me about the size pond they want or a waterfall. I'm like, so what even gave you the idea to have a water feature? Have you ever had one before? And they'll tell their story of either having one or growing up, playing in creeks and streams, or, they want to recreate the resort feel, or they want to create a spot where they can, have a place where the family would want to come and gather. And getting behind the reason why gives us a lot of inspiration too, right? Because then we look at design elements when we're building these things. So for this, Debbie, look at her. She's awesome. So she's retired, but she still volunteers at a special needs school that she's always worked at. And it's difficult because some of the kids have a lot of challenges. So she deals with a lot of stress at work. She's wanted to do a pond for quite a long time, and her husband wanted one also, but he passed 3 years before we put this pond in. And when I went out to meet Debbie, she was telling me all about that and what she did with the school and everything. And she was looking to do a good sized pond. A 16 by 20 is a great pond. It's a pretty good sized pond for a backyard. And she wanted to have a patio next to it and a beautiful waterfall. And I said, this all sounds amazing, Debbie, but this is going to be kind of expensive. And I could see like she needed, like there probably could have had some work done in the house, like maybe replace the windows and stuff. And as we got into it, I was like, are you okay having a conversation about something like this? And she's like, absolutely. I'm like, so, okay, well, what we're looking at, and I'm going to show you guys some of this pond. If I could. So we're looking at it, and it's a 16 by 20 pond. We've got an intake-based skimmer. There's some stonework up against the patio, holding up the patio itself. We built the patio, we did some steps, and then we built that waterfall and the landscaping. I said, Debbie, this is going to be a six-figure project. I'm like, are you okay talking about that? Like that kind of conversation? She's like, oh yeah, that's fine. She's like, but I think she said my daughter's not going to like it because she would want her to get a swimming pool. I'm like, well, would you rather have a swimming pool? She's like, no. She's like, I've always dreamed of having a pond in the backyard with a waterfall. She loves to take pictures. She's a big amateur photographer. She's like, I want something that's going to attract birds. I want to be able to sit right at my kitchen door. She's got a big slider there, and look out the window and just appreciate it. I want to see it at night. I want to see the fish in there. She's telling me all the reasons she wants it. And I'm like, but this is quite a bit of money. This ended up being $125,000 for this project. We brought in, I think we brought in like 50 tons of boulders, probably 5 or 6 pallets of that stand-up flagging bluestone. We have an intake-based skimmer. We've got underwater lighting, aeration, really beautiful waterfall. We landscaped it. So it was quite an investment for her. But she, and I remember when we finished it, I'm like, so Debbie, was it worth spending that kind of money? She's like, oh, she's like, it not only was it worth it, I wish I spent it sooner so that my husband could have seen it. So that's the kind of stuff that, really drives me. And this is the reason we do it, is because of those kind of stories. And when people have the means, it's not about the money. It's about what it's going to do, how it's going to make them feel. And Debbie was a perfect example of that. Like, she really loves this thing. And when we go back to go check on it and we help her out with some maintenance and stuff, she just raves about this thing. She's got her little dog, Rooney, who you can see right here in the video. There's Rooney. And she's talking about how difficult it was at school with COVID and all that. And then having this escape in the backyard is what made it all better for her.
Here and just forget about all of that
to come here and forget about all that for a period of time. She has an escape in the backyard, right?
Right.
It's not just a pond. This is an escape for her. This is somewhere she goes and she really can just decompress, enjoy herself, like really take in all the sounds and the sights of the waterfalls and, like I say, the birds and all that kind of stuff.
I expect snakes in the future.
Look, she says, I expect snakes, but she's not worried about it. And that's okay. How cool is that? Hopefully that helped paint a good picture of a particular project and what went into it and the reason we do it. You know, that's number one, first and foremost for us, but also how much it costs. So it's not inexpensive to do stuff like this when you're talking about a custom water feature with some of the boulders we use. Remember the big boulders we had in there? Some of them were 4 foot tall. So you're talking over a ton for a rock. So you've got to bring in, big trucks, heavy equipment to make all this stuff happen. There's a lot of manpower, labor. I talked about man hours before. Quite a bit of man hours goes into something like this. We actually brought in Rob and Kevin Fuentes from Tranquility Scapes out of Long Island. These guys are a young business. So we've kind of been helping them along, and I bring them on some of our projects to help us out. It helps us out because we get some extra manpower to build these projects, but also they're getting a chance to really learn what goes into making one of these happen and then how to work as a team. So being around us, they get a lot of information.
And so in Debbie's case, that was more of a turnkey backyard.
Yeah, a lot of times, like most times we don't get involved with landscaping.
Right.
This was a particular instance where like she just was asking me, could you do the landscaping around it? Because we were already there with the machines and all that kind of stuff. And I normally say what?
No.
Yeah,
you go refer a landscaper.
And call a landscaper. It's not what we specialize in. I have a background in landscaping, but it's not really what I want to get involved with. But she had asked me, and then how can you say no to it?
Right.
How can you say no to that face?
Yep, I know. Us ladies know how to get our way.
Yeah, she got me. Yeah, but we did that really nice. One of the things we're really good is that flagstone patio where you guys cut all the pieces. There's an incredible amount of work that goes into that alone. I think it's harder to build that patio.
Patio is the hardest part.
Yeah, I think the patio is the hardest part, right?
Yeah,
the longest.
Look,
watching you guys build the one at the lake house, I
just
felt
to the
that
right
pain.
of her, you can see those big pieces of flagging. They've got to manhandle every one of those and cut every single side of it to make all the joints fit. It's an incredible amount of work, and I'm happy to say that all you guys are great at it. I mean, Aunt Colby, Boley, everybody's great at doing that stone work. And it's an extension of what we do with, we don't do pavers and stuff like that. We'll only do that flagging. And it's usually just like a small little section next to the pond.
It's usually for like 2 chairs, just something small, just to complement the pond. Yeah.
And then they'll complement it later with their landscaping or maybe a larger patio or something. But in this case, we did the whole thing. And I'm glad we did because I didn't want her to be stressed out having to now take over the rest of the project and GC getting somebody else in there to do this other work. So we just took care of it for her. And that was a super special project. I love the fact that we got to make Debbie's dream come true. I wish we could have done it sooner for her so that her husband could have seen it, but what an awesome story.
Yeah. And that one gets better every time I see it. Because the guys take care of it. It looks so good.
Oh my God. We went back there in the spring. I went back to shoot it for a pond tour thing. And her plants were like crazy nice.
Yeah.
She put a lotus in there. It's one of the nicest lotuses.
The nicest lotus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of it.
Every maintenance stop we go there, it's crystal clear.
Yeah. Yeah. She does. I mean, she loves that thing. So I'm so happy. And still, when I walk over there, I'll go into the backyard and there she is sitting right in the slider, like right in her desk, just looking out the window.
She's at the pond.
So let's close this thing up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this particular podcast. I had a great time getting to sit. We don't sit down and talk like this in depth very often. So
because if we sit down like this, we're solving problems.
this is great just to have a conversation. So I love this. If nobody watches this, at least we got to have a conversation.
Well, this is not a family meeting.
I was just gonna say we should totally have our family meetings down here with the mic.
Get on the mic and we'll record it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally need to do that.
Family business. Guys, thanks for being here. We're over on YouTube with our Atlantis Water Gardens channel, as well as IG, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So if you like water feature related stuff, check out some of our videos over there. We really put a lot of our effort into it, and we love doing it. Joanne, thank you for being the very first guest on the AWG After Hours show, Family Business.
Do I get a parting gift?
Golf clap.
A big thank you.
Where's the parting gift, guys? Cheapos.
Listen, we haven't got to the gift thing yet.
It's not part of the show yet.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Subscribe. Come on back. We'd love to see you again. Catch you on the next one.